her phone, and I counted over the past 2 years 18 people who had texted her and said, if you ever want to talk about your husband, you can talk to me and say anything and I'll keep it confidential. Why the heck does somebody want to hear what somebody else says about their spouse? And 2 of those 18 were men.
Spouse does. What do you think your heavenly spouse does? When you're the bride of Christ and he sees his bride going through abuse and hurt, what do you think he thinks about that?
And 6 weeks ago, she goes in the hospital, gets out, and just leaves. Just completely leaves me, leaves everything, drains the bank account, and goes. Guess what? While you're talking bad about me out there, I'm building a school in Africa for over 100 kids to be able to be fed.
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone? I just want my family to know where to find me.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody, where we cover true crime, mystery to the missing. This is Mica Miller, a 30-year-old woman who was energetic, full of life, and a loving sister and daughter. Recently, Mica had been dealing with a pending divorce with this man, former pastor John Paul Miller.
This is the worst sermon I've ever preached my whole life. I can't stand it. I just want to give the altar call and quit now. One day, listen, if you ever want to know what I'm going through in life, it's always about what I'm preaching about. God is so good to do that every single time.
Mica claimed that she had been dealing with many forms of abuse from John Paul, as mentioned in this clip.
Relationship, whether that's sexual, whether that's somebody forcing you to take illegal drugs, or alcohol abuse, or physical abuse, psychological abuse, making you think that this is all your fault, or you're a bad mom, or you're a bad wife, or you're a bad husband, or you're not giving it your all when you know you are.
But sadly, on April 27th, just days after serving her husband with documents about a no-contact order, she was found dead in the Lumber River State Park. The cause of death, self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head.
About the announcement here in the building, please, if you can, so y'all can stand to your feet. Before I make the announcement, I also want to say that my request to you is that you will continue to come to church and serve and give for the next little bit, because I don't want to have. I'm taking a little bit of a break, and I don't want to have to worry about the church. My break may be a few days, a few weeks, I don't know. I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away. And it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina. And so it's all I can. I'm just kind of going on adrenaline right now. So y'all pray for me.
Many wondered, with John Paul's shady past and her allegations, could this have been staged and something more nefarious? Her family was adamant that she was not a woman who was acting like she was going to take her own life. And recently, Mica stated, "If I end up with a bullet in my head, it was JP," referring to John Paul Miller. So what actually happened on the 27th of April? According to recently released documents, it seems that 11 a.m. Mica is captured on ring cam at her residence, leaving her home. She is then captured on surveillance at a nearby pawn shop around noon, purchasing a 6-hour 9mm, along with a box of bullets. After purchasing the gun, Mica would then head to the Lumber River State Park, which is just over an hour drive. Sadly, it's believed she arrived to her final destination sometime before 3 p.m. At 2:54 p.m., Mica would make a 911 call from her cell phone.
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
You don't know where you're at?
A national park.
Where's the park located at?
In Bear Bluff. I have my location on my phone.
Are you at the Lumber River State Park?
Yeah, that's where I am. I just want my family to know where to find me.
Okay, ma'am. Let me make sure I got the exact location where you're at, okay? Just 1 minute.
Before the dispatcher could gather any more info from Mica, she hung up the phone. The dispatcher attempted to reconnect with Mica multiple times, but she did not answer her phone. At 3:03 p.m., Robeson County deputies were dispatched to the state park for a well-being check and to locate Mica. After requesting a phone ping and more deputies arriving on location, they started using a drone and other resources in an attempt to locate Mica. But while conducting an aerial search, detectives were approached by a person who said they had found a bag while fishing with Mica's ID inside. This person said they had heard crying and then a gunshot. After hearing the gunshot, they traveled further where they had discovered a bag 2 feet from the water's edge. At 4:23 p.m., another individual called 911 to say he had located a body in the water. This person had been fishing in his kayak when he had found Mica Miller's body. At about 6 p.m., the ME was contacted along with CSI collecting evidence from the scene. Multiple items were collected from Mica's Honda Accord, which included a 6-hour gun case and a box of ammo. Further investigation showed that Mica searched national parks near me on her phone, and Lumber River State Park came up. At around 7:11 p.m., they discovered the 6-hour 9mm in the water. The serial number matched the one Mica had purchased earlier that day. So where was former pastor John Paul Miller during this time frame? According to the investigation, John Paul had traveled to Charleston for a sporting event on the day prior, on April 26. He supposedly stayed the night there and has an alibi. He was also spotted by a license plate reader around the time of the incident, traveling with other people. So it seems the allegations of his direct involvement were unfounded, but the statements made by Mica prior to this and her family firmly believing she would not take her own life certainly raised red flags.
There were things that we saw, there were red flags that maybe not just one that just makes you want to freak out or anything, but there was just enough to make you go, there's just something a little off there. And but to be honest, even with knowing that, just everything that's kind of come out since then, just everything has been such a surprise.
Whatever the case was for Mica Miller's tragic death, whether this was a case of someone who was driven over the edge by abuse, mental illness, or something else, I do hope she has found peace, and I pray for her family. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Please smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Please consider supporting this channel by becoming a member or a Patreon, as we not only cover true crime, but also search for the missing. And thank you so much for watching.